Count down the days to the football and getting you ready for the season.
I like this kind of party. We're going to be here all day, baby.
Have days from the beer. Hey, everybody. Keyshawn J. Will Zubin. Presented by Progressive Insurance. Alan Hall with Key. Dominique Foxworth joining us here in studio as well. And we are 9 days away from the Cowboys and the Steelers starting training camp. And then, of course, little by little, the Bucs then a couple of days later, and then the rest of the league as well. So we are almost in it. As Key said, you can smell it. Nick, is that how you feel? Like, does that always come back this time of year?
Yeah.
You feel the humidity? Maybe somebody just cut their grass and you're like, oh,
feet hurting from the practice.
Yeah, you can smell it. Is the exact way to put it, because it goes back to even before the NFL. Anybody who played football growing up, you know what it was like. You know what the environment was like, what it smelled like, and what it felt like. I don't miss it. That's what I'm sure.
Right. There was something about, like, to me, it's I don't know the football background. For me, it's basketball. So for me, it's like when you go into the gym in the summer and you have that humid gym and you have that feel, like right away you're like, that's basketball camp, and that's the memory that comes back to you, and nobody liked that.
No, it definitely feels good going into training camp. When you get there, put your bed down, you get everything situated. You go to your meetings, you come home. It's that day that you actually got to take the field. Like, man, I got to get up. Man, hell, I got to get up.
Yeah.
Did you have the dorm room experience?
What about it?
The dorm room? Did you have that? That was everybody did dorms?
We stopped doing it towards the end of my career, but for most of my career, it was dorm rooms and
What is it with that? Let's make everybody miserable and put them in beds that they can't sleep in.
Yes, miserable.
It's
it's
building culture, building camaraderie, and it's like you go through a
tough
thing
that,
together. It brings you closer. Like, that's the psychology behind that.
It's all psychological.
Yeah.
Now, of course, today is all about the players need rest.
Yeah.
They need to feel good.
Exactly.
Let's put them in comfortable beds.
It'll swing back eventually.
You think so?
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
Man. All right. Well, let's talk about some of the quarterbacks that we have going into this season, and whether or not they'll be better, worse, or the same. So we'll go through one by one. Let's begin with Baker Mayfield. Do we expect him to be better than last year, worse, or the same as we saw last year?
I expect him to be better. I think he will be better. Second time around in the offense with Kevin Stefanski, we saw him second half of the season play a little bit better. Obviously, OBJ comes back, and I know the first thing people are going to think is, he's going to be force-feeding OBJ. That's not the case. They're going to go with the same recipe that they did last year in getting into the playoffs, except they add one of the top weapons in the National Football League, and he'll just fit in what they do.
Yeah, my instinct was the same, but I think he just sold me on better. I think you're right. And I think that part of the reason why there won't be an OBJ over-forcing issue is because I think Baker has more confidence. He's, like, more secure. Like, it feels more like it's his team than it did last year. And not that he was forcing the ball to Odell back then, but he won't have to now. Like, it seems pretty clear that he's their franchise quarterback in a way that it wasn't last year.
And their relationship is an important one, too. The trust factor, where Odell didn't have that with the Giants. He certainly should have that with Baker going forward with this team. How about, speaking of Giants, Daniel Jones?
I think he'll be better as well. I think when you look at what they've been able to do in the offseason, retooling some things, offensive line, getting players in free agency, and it's a second time around. If he stays healthy, I think he'll be better. This is the third year for him, a fourth year, going to his fourth year for him. This is a big year. So he knows that, and everybody else knows it.
Prove it year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had a great offseason. What they did in the draft was impressive, but I'm not a Daniel Jones believer, so I feel like he's just going to be the same. So I'm not high on Daniel Jones.
I don't think so.
Same wasn't terrible. Same is just a guy that turns it over at the inopportune times.
He gets better. I just think he
Is
gets
he better from the experience or better because of the talent around him?
I think he's better because of the
Saquon Barkley coming back is a huge addition.
Better because of the talent around him. But remember, we're not asking him to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
We just don't want you to do what you did to cost us. We want you not to do those things.
Keyshawn J. Will Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. We continue. Better, worse, or same with quarterbacks this season. This one's an interesting one. Neek, how about Tom Brady? Better, worse, or same?
The same.
And that's not a bad thing either.
He was great last year throughout the regular seasons. He wasn't as impressive in the playoffs, which is ridiculous to say since they won another Super Bowl. But I remember before the season 2 years ago watching him in New England we started to see, or it felt like we started to see the decline. We started to see a little bit of the cracks. We saw more turnovers. We saw him having trouble getting the ball down the field. But it seems like that was about the people around him more than it was about him.
Yeah.
Because then you put him down there in that pretty much perfect situation in Tampa, outstanding offensive line, great big play receivers, and he balled.
He did.
I'm
His
glad
frustration showed too.
I'm glad Neek cleaned that up. He said we, but then he cleaned it up by saying the people around him in New England. I'm glad you cleaned that up because I also think that he will be better second time around and better from a efficiency standpoint. Won't be holding up 5 fingers, not knowing a lot of different things. He gets an off season. He gets a real training camp, and he knows his teammates even better now than the dude just won the Super Bowl by not knowing them. So he's only going to be better. Doesn't mean he's going to throw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
Just means his play will be crisp and cleaner.
How about Patrick Mahomes?
Same.
Which is great.
Which is
Are we wasting our time? Should we move on?
Yeah, man, stop, man.
Nick's face was like, yeah.
We've only seen one kind of Patrick Mahomes, and
That's
that's
the
the only
point.
time I expect to see.
I've not seen a worse. Josh Allen,
Same. Think he's going to be the same guy.
MVP caliber, MVP candidate.
MVP caliber quarterback that has a big, strong arm, does some things. Now that he has Diggs playing the receiver position for him, they've gotten better all the way around. I think you're going to see him battle to win. In the AFC East. I don't think it's just a runaway. It's going to be a battle because we know how I feel about the team in New England. So that's
I
just
think,
me.
Diggs being able to beat man coverage made his life so much easier. Statistically, I think he made a good distinction when we were talking about Tom Brady, is that his stats may not be better, but he'll be crisper.
Yeah.
So I think that I doubt that Josh Allen puts together a statistical season like he did last year. But I don't think that he's going to regress, even though he's had one good season and 3 below average seasons.
Yeah, decent.
The
Right,
one
he
good
wasn't-
season is the aberration, but he looked comfortable doing it, and he's making better decisions than he ever had. So I think
he
that'll,
arrived. Yeah,
I think he'll be the
when you
same.
say crisper, you mean like efficient.
Yeah, I
right?
think
like just to be a more efficient quarterback who doesn't have to make big plays because he just has control of the offense. You talked about a team in that division that you feel like is going to give the Bills some trouble. Cam Newton. Better, worse, or same?
I think he'll be better. I understand what people feel about Cam Newton and how they feel about his polarizing and all the different things. In his second half of the season after COVID, he didn't play well, but he was throwing the ball to Neek and me right now. Not when we played. Right now. Them dudes can't play. Them dudes they had last year playing receiver, me and Neek can go do that. So when you start to think about it, you look at prior to COVID, the guy had a 68% completion percentage prior to COVID, okay? 4 touchdowns, 2 in the air, 2 on the ground. Rushed for 140 yards, okay? When you think about it, with nothing around him, they went out and spent